Welcome to a short introductory video on using Power BI, Office 365's dashboard and reporting tool. So what is Power BI? Power BI is an interactive data visualization tool that lets you easily connect to any data source and visualize the data contained within that data source. The output being reports and dashboards. Before we look at how to use Power BI, it might be worth talking about some of the benefits that the product offers. Take a scenario where you receive data from any data source, let's say a database. This usually involves one or more people having to manually, and in the case of periodical reports, repetitively format and clean data, usually in Excel. These clean data sources are then combined into, let's say, a single workbook from which visualizations are created, usually again in Excel. And then those visualizations form a basis for a report, which is often a PDF report. So there's a lot of time and effort in creating those reports, and by the time the recipient receives the reports to look at the data and make decisions based on that data, the data is out of date, as well as being static. So this is the key benefit of Power BI. It's going to save time, because your Power BI report can be linked to the data. When the data is updated, the report automatically updates. The visuals in the report are literally interactive, so a user can click on a visualization in a report and see the other visualizations filter by the category selected. So this is giving you the opportunity to gain insights on data that you've not had before. Additionally, these reports can be made available and shared with anybody around the organization or outside the organization if your Office 365 environment allows it. So you're going to save time. You'll get interactive reports that will give you more insights into the data that you can access from anywhere. Those are the 4 points on the slide you're looking at right now. There are some topics that we're not going to cover in this video, so advanced data modeling, exactly how you go about all of the sharing options that are available in the Power BI environment, and how you can have a team workspace in which many people can collect and create dashboards and reports. What you will see in this video is an Excel workbook that's stored in Office 365 inside OneDrive for Business, and how that is connected to the Power BI environment and visualized. And what I'll use is a single table stored inside an Excel workbook that's well formatted. The data is clean, there's no issues with the data at all, and we'll see how to connect that into the Power BI service and create the visuals. If you've got data that's not well formatted, or data in multiple sources that needs to be combined before you can visualize it, then you need to use the free Power BI desktop application that you download and use to work with these more advanced scenarios. And then when you've created the report using the Power BI desktop application, you then publish that report into the Power BI service. So the video will continue now with a live training session that was recorded at Sedgman.
Moving on, I think we'll look at Power BI, I think, next. And the Power BI idea is being able to connect or visualize content by connecting to a data source. And I uploaded into my OneDrive for Business a little earlier, just a second ago, an Excel file called Sales. And I'll just open that up so that you can see what it looks like. So here we go. This is just an Excel table, and it is ultimately a list of products that have been sold at various locations over time. And I want to be able to visualize this, and I don't necessarily want to use Excel. I want to put this content in a central, visualize it in a central location that other people and multiple people can access. And because it's in my OneDrive for Business, when the content in the Excel file is updated, the content in my Power BI dashboard, which is where we're going next, the content in the Power BI dashboard will also be updated within an hour. So there's no more copying and pasting and having to rework content and visualizations. Store the content somewhere in the Office 365 cloud, and then use Power BI as the visualization tool, and you'll be able to have this almost real-time update, I guess. So I'll just skip out of there and head up to the app launcher to launch Power BI, which is not in my list, so I'm going to go to All Apps, and I'll come down there to Power BI. And because I've never been in here before, I'm landing on the Get Data page. So if you need to know where this is as you start working with the app, the Get Data page is right down at the bottom left-hand corner. And when you click on it, this is the screen that is displayed for you. And here is where I'm going to connect to my Excel data. So I'll click on Get and then choose the location where the data is currently residing. And my Excel workbook is in my OneDrive for Business library. And it's the file called Sales, so I'll click on Sales in the list and then shoot over to Connect at the top right hand side of the screen. And Power BI is giving me two options on how I want to display the information. Option B, Connect, is where I just want to display what is currently in the Excel workbook in the Power BI environment, which is not what I want in this case. I want to use Import and bring data in and begin to visualize it in Power BI. So I'll just choose Import. And the content from the file will be uploaded into the Power BI server. And that's that done. I'm getting a little notification here. So that's successfully achieved that. And a couple of things have happened in the background. What I'm being presented with on the screen now is a dashboard with an empty visual on it, which is obviously not what I'm going to use. It's just a kind of a placeholder. What I am going to do though is, and what you will need to do if you're going to use Power BI, is understand that you've got a workspace that you're going to need to expand to be able to look at and access the content that you're uploading and working with. And so the dashboard that I'm viewing on the screen now is what you can see. I've also got something else down here which is a data set, which is the content that I've just uploaded. I'm going to need to visualize a report, and getting down into the data set here is the easiest way, just to get a blank report canvas. And over on the right is a list of the column headers, the labels from my original data source. So all I'm going to do to start the visualization process is I'm going to take a column, I'm going to click and hold and then drag the field into the blank area of the screen. And because I'm using geographical data that it can recognize, it understands that these are Australian cities. And so I'm just going to take the total sales, the sale amount field, click, hold, drag that and drop that over the same visualization. And then move it, resize it, and start again. So that's one down. And now I might do the same thing with maybe brands and sale amounts. This time it doesn't understand obviously that it's geographical data, and it's just using a default choice, which is a table visualization. I'll just do the resize first because the visualization that I've got chosen here is Power BI has chosen a default visualization which is highlighted in this gallery of visualizations with a yellow border. I want to change it to a column chart, let's say, so I just select the visual and then click onto the visualization that I would like. Now, the difference, we've already seen that when the Excel workbook is updated, we know that within an hour the Power BI desktop, or the Power BI dashboard report will be updated. But additionally, we've got the ability to interact with this data now. So if I want to see what the sales in Canberra look like across each of the brands, I can choose to click on an item in one visual and it will filter items in the others. Click again, it brings everything back. So any visual by default that's on the canvas is going to have that interactivity to allow you to investigate and interrogate the data a little bit more. And that's the way it works. I might bring a couple more visuals onto the screen. I just want to see a number. What is my total sale amount? So I'll bring that across, drop it into an empty area of the canvas. And when I do that, I get a visual by default, which Power BI has elected as a column chart. I'm just going to come down to the 1, 2, 3, the card visual, change that, resize, move it up a little bit. I think I want the same actually for the quantity that we've sold. So I'm just going to maybe copy that, paste it so that it's the same size, place it onto the canvas. And with this visual selected, you will notice this area here we haven't used. This is the field well. So at the moment it's telling me the selected visual is using a field called sale amount, which it is, but I don't want that anymore. I want to use the quantity sold. So I'm just going to drag that over the top, let go, and now I've got my quantity sold value. Again, interactive though. So as I click on an item in the Power BI report, all of the other filters, all of the other visuals filter around the selected item. A couple more things. I want to be able to filter this by a date. So I want a date range filter. So I'm doing the same thing, dragging into an empty area of the report canvas, and the filter visual is called a slicer, which is this one here. So I'll just click on the slicer, resize it a little bit. But what this is allowing me to do, this is allowing me to either type dates to filter my report or drag across the date bar, but all the figures are still interactive. And so the idea of this is you would create, let's say, one report page, and I can see I've got my pages down here, one report page which I'll right click rename. This is for sales by brand or whatever it is. And then I create another report page and we'll call this sales by channel. And then I start bringing my other fields and start building visuals for whatever I want in my channel sales. And the process continues. So what we know so far is we've uploaded a data set and we've built a report, which I'm now going to come back to my original sales by brand page and save. I'll call this sales report and save. My sales report field is now under the reports area, and I still haven't worked with the dashboard. So the idea here would be you can build as many of these reports and upload as many different data sources as you want and build reports from those data sources. But ultimately the dashboard level that sits at the top level of this Power BI infrastructure is where you take the most representative, let's say, visual on each of your report pages and place it into the dashboard. And that's what this little push pin at the top right hand side of a visual will do for you. So I'm just going to use the pin visual there. It asks me where do I want to pin this. I can make a new dashboard if I wanted to, but I'm going to go with the one that the Power BI environment created for me a second ago. Hit pin. I'll go to my sales channel. I'll hit pin there. Same thing. And now when I go to my dashboard, I've got that visualization that I didn't want, so I will choose sales there and I will remove that particular tile and I'll move these ones over. And this is the top level of the dashboard. So these can come from any data sources. It's just a quick visual look, I guess, to check that all of the information that's being presented to the reader is as they expect it to be, and if it's not, they get the opportunity to go from the overview by clicking on the visual in the dashboard. It takes them down into the reporting layer where they can start interrogating the data using the tools that you've given them to do so within the reporting layer. Does that make sense?
After the fourth time hearing it, yes.
Okay, good.
I'm just dazed.
Okay, after the fourth time of hearing it, it does.
I'm getting better.
I want to share, let's say this is good stuff. I know that the data, when the data updates, the visuals update. So now what I need is I need a place to put this report where people can access it. And so to do that, I'm going to suggest there's a couple of options. One, you can go to the file menu and you can publish this to a web page. So as long as the person has got access to the web page, you will be able to take this information here, put it into a web page, intranet page, and people will be able to view and work with the dashboard in real time. Word of warning, I guess, that you are going to get to a point, I'm assuming, where if you create the dashboard, you are going to hit the share button. And when you hit the share button, you will get a message on the screen. If you want to share at the dashboard level, you are going to need a Power BI Pro account, and that there's an additional fee that the organisation would have to subscribe and pay for, which is about $12 a month. And the kicker really is that if you create and share a dashboard, as the creator of the dashboard, you need a Pro license, but also if you share it with 20 people, those 20 people also need a Pro license to be able to consume. So, I mean, it is an option, and there are times when you probably would like to exercise that option, but if you want a no cost sharing option, like where people can come into the report level and start interacting with visuals, that's what you would use, this idea of the file and publish to web choice that you've got there. Power BI. Any questions?
Thank you.
For more information on Office 365, visit the project link or go to support.office.com and access the training centre.